Hello everybody, welcome to Guess the Amp Part 3. So today is mod day. So for you who haven't watched Part 1 and Part 2, this may not make much sense to you, but so the amp in question is, so it's a Fender Rumble 15. I have to grill cloth off of it. So it was just a little bass amp that I happened to try in church one day, and I was really surprised with how it responded with electric guitar. So I decided to buy one. So I got this in the rental shop. It was only 75 bucks. Brought it home. So now what I want to do is I want to try and have this amp so that I can use as a standalone little combo amp, just like it is. But I also want to be able to use my Quilter inner block with this amp, but not use the Rumble as an amp, but as a speaker cabinet, without having to take the amp out of it to make that happen. So here's my plan, and I kind of discussed it in part 2 before I lost my camera space and the video kind of ended short. So all right, so here's the deal. Let me show you something here. All right, so I don't know if you guys can see this, but all right, so I have just a 9-volt battery here, and I'm going to be using one of these little switches so I can switch back and forth to whether I want to use the Rumble 15 as a speaker cabinet or whether I want to use it as the actual amp, right? So, and to do that, I need to be able to disconnect one amp from the other, because as soon as you have 2 amps going to one speaker, you have some bleed through, and it's gonna sound terrible, and something's gonna end up getting wrecked. So I just got a couple of cables here connected to a 9-volt battery, and I have a little LED light. So let's pretend that this LED light is my speaker. So I have one prong of this LED light connected to the cable here. So let's say that this is the speaker right now. So this switch is a little double pull, double throw switch, or double throw, double pull. I don't know what they're called. So the way they work is you have a common in the middle, and then you have 2 externals, and they're all like connected together. So the 2 poles at a similar spot aren't like interdependent of each other. They're all connected. So I'm guessing I'm going to put, so my plan is to put the speakers in the center pins, and then I'm going to put 1 amp input over here and the other amp input on the other side, and then when I switch this switch, it'll activate one and shut off the other. So it should work as a speaker cab and as an amp. I don't know, maybe somebody watching who has actual experience doing this stuff is like, no man, that's not going to work. If so, you could leave a comment, because I greatly appreciate it. And I'm not telling you guys to do this. I thought maybe you might get some might be amused watching somebody potentially ruin their gear. But it's a $75 purchase, so I'm not too worried about it. So anyway, all right, so I'm gonna put this on the common. So yeah, so let's pretend that the common is a speaker. So I will just connect this alligator clip to the common here. It's kind of hard because I'm kind of almost touching the other sides. All right, so you can see that. And the amp is off, or the switch right now is in the center position. The toggle's in the center, so it's off. So right now, if I take my, let's say, so let's say this would be one of the amps. If I touch the common, obviously it's going to light up, right? Because the circuit is complete. But so if I go to one side, there's nothing. And if I go to the other side, there's nothing. So, but as soon as I flick the switch, so if I flick the switch this way, okay, so now there's a connection over here, but there still is none over here. So that other amp or that other speaker cab or whatever I'll be using will be shut off. And then if I flick it the other way, well, now there's nothing over here, but there is something over on this end. There we go, right? So, so yeah, so I'm hoping that my little experiment is going to work. So I'm going to pop this speaker off, and I'm going to start wiring up some stuff, and I will momentarily, pause and come back so you guys can see what's going on. And then once it's done, we'll do a little test. And once the test is done, if everything works, we are going to see if we can make this amp better by taking that original speaker out and throwing this speaker in there. So this is let me see if I can get some light there on there for you. This is a Jensen Loudspeaker. So this is a 20 watt 8 ohm 8 inch speaker. Got this from Solo Music. I think they're in Toronto. It was off Amazon, but came from Solo Music. So I'll show you what it looks like. There you go. So this is a speaker. So the cone is totally different. I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of like a greenish, I don't know if it's hemp or hemp cone maybe. But so the reviews, there was 180 reviews on this speaker, and they're all 5 stars. So I thought, well, what the heck. It was a little more expensive than the Celestion I was looking at, but I thought, yeah, I'm going to give it a shot. So, you know, and the great thing about Amazon is if it's no good, you can return it. But so the magnet isn't very big on this thing. I'll let you have a look here. So there you go. That's the speaker right there. So Jensen special design. It says, I guess made especially for electronic musical instruments production. It's made in Italy, so it's not like a Chinese speaker. So it should be pretty good. Anyway, that's the plan if my mods go, you know, go well. Because I'm not going to put the speaker in and blow it. so one thing at a time. So all right, we're going to hit pause. We're going to start doing some basic wiring stuff. Got to figure out where that switch goes, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so amps are ready to come out. So to take these out, there's you see down here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of these type of screws, just little kind of wood screws. They just screw into the back of the cabinet there, holding the amp plate, I guess, in place. And there's only 2 screws that actually go through the cab, up top here and here. And those screws just bolt to the actual amp. So they're a little bit longer, and they're more of like a machine screw. So very simple to take out, and then the whole thing just comes right out. So I'm going to take this out, and I'll give you a little shot of what's inside. Okay, so the amp just, once you take those screws out, the amp just pulls straight out of the back of the cab. But you have to be careful because this little speaker wire here is all zip tied. So it's a little snug back here. So I just clip the zip tie, and then you can just pull on this little clip to unplug it, and there you go. You are free. All right, so here's the amp. Here's what it looks like. And I'm going to set this aside. So here's my plan. So I plan on, so this is the wire that connects to the amp that goes to the speaker in the front of the cabinet. Okay, so my plan is to cut this wire and then solder the ground and the live, or the black and the white, I guess, to one side of the switch. Then the other end of the wire that I cut, that'll be the speaker, so that's going to go to the center of the switch. And then this wire that I have here, which would not be on your amp if you have one of these. So this wire is just something I have ready. So these wires are the wires that are coming from the jack that I installed in the back for an input jack for like using this as a speaker cab. So these wires will go to the other side of the switch, and that's it. That's the mod that I want to do. So I need to find a spot for this switch on the amp here, and I'm thinking I guess you guys can see this. So because the speaker wire comes out of here, I want everything pretty close. So I think this switch, I'm going to, you can see there's lots of real estate under here, like there's lots of room. So I think I'll probably install the switch so that it comes out. You'll only see a small toggle right under the rumble sign. So it'll be right about here. And it's only a little 8mm hole that I have to drill through the front of the plate here. So that's the next project. I'm going to try to install the switch so I have room, and then measure the wire lengths I'm going to need, and then get those soldered in place. So I'll be right back. Alright, so hole is drilled. So I decided to go right here. Hopefully you can see that. So if you're going to do this, you drill very slowly and take your time, because you know, the guts of the amp are right below this hole. So you don't want to be pushing your drill in there and wrecking something. So let the drill do the work. Don't push too hard on it, and it'll pierce through. This is really thin metal, so it's super easy to drill if you have a good metal bit. Alright, so I'm going to install the switch and see how much clearance I have in there to run some wires to it. Alright, so switch is in. I don't know if you can see that. Switch is in right here. And the top of the switch right here. So there we go. And here's what it looks like from the top view. Once you look at the amp, I clean this up a little bit. So basically it'll just look like this. Just a rumble with the switch. That's all it is. So yeah. Alright, so now for some soldering. We'll see how that turns out. I'll be right back. Okay, well, everything's wired. I don't know if you can see that. But, so here's my speaker cabinet input wire. So when the switch is in this position, this should activate. Middle position, both should be off. And then here's the amp of the Rumble 15. And that comes into this side. So when the switch is in this side, it should activate this part of the amp. So I don't know, maybe the soldering gun melted these prongs and nothing will work, but test time. Alright, so amp is on, and volume is a little ways up, and we have nothing because the switch is in the middle. Now if I wired this correctly, if I flick the switch towards you, this should be my quilter, which is not plugged in, so still nothing, so that's a good sign. And then if I switch it all the way towards me, towards the 15 side, there we go.